Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to PVD Horror. Today we have a special guest that you may know from films such as Cyst, Texas Cotton, and one of the best movies ever made, Troll 2. Today we welcome actor George Hardy. Thanks for joining us, George.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing good.
Excellent.
Can't
All right.
complain. But I need to know, George, how did you get involved with Troll 2?
Oh my goodness. Well, have you ever seen the documentary Best Worst Movie before?
Yeah.
Yeah, that pretty much explains a lot of it. That we made a documentary back in 20 Michael Stevenson, my on-screen son, and I made a documentary called Best Worst Movie back in 2000. Oh wow, we started that in 2008 or 9.
Yeah.
And it took us 3.5 years to make it, but it really explains the whole story of what happened to me and my career. I'm actually a dentist, and I just was taking some acting classes, and someone told me I should go up and I should audition for a movie up in Park City. I said, oh, what the heck, so I did, and I ended up getting the lead part to this movie. I had no idea what it was about. I had no idea what I was getting into, kind of thing, Yeah.
So now, how does it feel to be part of a film that's labeled as the best worst movie ever made?
Oh wow, you might want to ask the same question to Greg Sestero. Greg and I are really good friends. Greg was in the movie The Room. It's always an argument which one's the Holy Grail, and so we have discussions about that quite often. He and I are good friends. We were just in the movie Cyst together, and Greg's visited me. I've been on tour with him. He with me, a couple of different things, but of course Greg's all over the world now. But touring his film and Miracle Valley and The Room. But yeah, there's great arguments that hey, which one is the worst? But so it's kind of surreal in the fact that we were in this. If you can't be in the best movie ever, why not be in the worst and get recognition for it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So George, it's one thing to see your work and not enjoy it, but it's another thing to know that your family saw it and they also had negative views, which you can see that in the documentary when they interview your family.
Yeah.
I'm curious what that was like when they first saw it and how honest they were at the time about what they thought.
Well, actually, they saw it before me. I think my sister saw it in New Orleans or something, and she was living down there. So I really didn't even know. I didn't even know Troll 2 come out until my brother-in-law had told me about it and said that it had won the It Sucked Awards at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater. So bad it's good movies kind of thing back in 2006 or something. So I was absent from the whole experience about it being in Troll 2, for 17 years. So I didn't even know what happened to it. Of course, it never came out on the big screen. So, it's just one of those movies you never, they just came and went. But little did you know that at that time it was MySpace, way before Facebook. There was talk on that going on about an underground cult about it. And well, before you know it, it's a worldwide phenomenon, which I got a phone call in 2006 from someone like you guys wanting to interview about Troll 2, but I didn't know anything that it had any kind of background. So the guys interviewing me, I'm back practicing dentistry in Alabama, 17 years later, and he goes, hey, you didn't know there's a cult phenomenon around? I go, no. And so anyway, he goes, if you don't believe me, go to IMDb. And I did, and there was Troll 2 as the #1 worst film of all time in the history of all cinemas, rated #1 of the 100 worst films. So I just scrolled down to the bottom, and it said Troll 2 cast reunion, Troll 2 first screening ever in the United States of Troll 2 at Provo, Utah. So it was it was right around this time in 2006, and it's April the 13th, I think. And April the 11th. And I'll be doggone if I didn't fly out the next day. I spent $700. It was $705, I think, to fly out the next day. I said, I can't miss this. I just can't. So I went out last minute to Salt Lake and I attended the first ever screening, and everybody, like you guys, just went crazy about the film. And so little did you know, there you go. Troll 2 became, just the start of it, of which then I met some of the cast members I hadn't seen in, 17, 18 years. One of which was my on-screen son, Michael Stevenson. And Michael said, hey, George, why don't we do a screening, make a documentary around this? I said, you got to be kidding me. He says, no, I'm serious. This is just too much of a craze. And so sure enough, we took off, and Michael and I made organically with family and friends. We went to 8 countries and 28 cities and made a documentary called Best Worst Movie, which really explains a lot of the answers, even more in detail of what y'all will be asking me today. Yeah.
So how long did it take to film Troll 2?
Let's see. Troll 2 took 2.5, 3 weeks to film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, how was
About
that?
3 weeks.
Now, how was that working with Claudio for 3 weeks?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, well, he spoke very little English.
Yeah.
But he did understand it. Now, Rosella understood. His wife, who wrote the script, she understood. But for the most part, Claudio ended up, directing in bits and pieces. Of course, he had translators there with us.
Okay.
But we just did whatever he told us to do. We didn't know what we were doing. We just did it, whatever he said, Yeah. Yeah. You want us to do it this way? Yeah, well, let's do it that way.
Now, while you guys were doing that, while you're filming, was there any indication of what the outcome of this movie was going to be like?
No idea, because we couldn't understand the script. We couldn't decipher. We just couldn't understand what it meant. We just couldn't understand the script. It was just too discombobulated, which then it pulled together like a puzzle at the end. And, we just didn't have any idea what we were doing. Right. Yeah. So, yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
So I'm sure.
Go ahead. Ben, sorry.
No, did you up?
No, you.
So I'm sure you have a bunch of crazy stories from working on this film. Can you share one with us?
Oh, wow. There are a lot. I guess a lot had to do with wardrobe, with a lot of the cast members, because we wore the same clothes pretty much the whole time. We ate stale pizza because it was such a low budget film, which really made it even more magical of what we were doing. You had no idea. We just didn't know. We didn't know what was going on. And we just, all of us were not actors. Michael had done a little bit of child acting, but for the most part, most of the people there were just having fun, just didn't even know that they would become these little cult icons with cartoons made of them later in their life. And later as the movie aged, there's people with there's balloon people that make blow up dolls of us in balloons, and gosh, we're all over t-shirts, and it's just and you wonder, well, is this being made fun of? But what's true is, when we did make Best Worst Movie, there was kind of a negative, like, oh, we're too embarrassed to even be associated with that. But what's true is everybody jumped on the ride and said, hey, let's, if we can't beat them, join them. So everybody kind of joined in, has had fun with this course. Of course, today with this silly world we're in now, it's all fun. You want to laugh and have a good time.
Right. Oh, yeah. So essentially there was like a period of time where you kind of sat and questioned it for a second, like, wait a minute.
Oh, well, before we saw the craze of what people were doing as far as loving it, they weren't laughing at it. They were laughing because of the enjoyment of it. Like you guys today watching, oh my God, that really just happened. I can't believe that scene. Can you believe that? No way. That kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So George, I'm gonna kind of rack your brain a little bit for a second.
Yeah.
So I have a question, two questions about the idea of like bad movies, quote unquote. So first, let me ask you, why do you think that people love a film that is widely thought of as bad?
I think today, and there's been so many articles that have been sent to me that I've read. I mean, I have had Newsweek and Time interviewed me, and oh gosh, New York Film School has asked the same questions. But for the most part, people just adore. So many people adore so bad it's good. Especially a lot of people that they say. A lot of people, and I mean, there's been a lot of doctorate folks, people that have doctorate degrees. You think, oh my God, there's no way. No, they adore it, and I think people just want to. It's all about being entertained. They don't really care. People just want to have a good time, and they want to be entertained. And so much today, you can watch a movie on Netflix these days and go, I mean, we made a nice little film called Texas Cotton, which I starred in. It's a good little film, I think it's a lot better than I've had a lot of people say, oh, that's better than any a lot of these Netflix out there, and it's just all about, I guess, who's got the money to get behind it, that kind of thing. But this is a movie that just kind of held together on its own, to be honest with you. Y'all know that. It's one of those miracle movies that, kind of like The Room. I mean, oh my gosh, did that really just happen? I can't believe what I just heard,
Yeah.
Which is great. It's great. You want that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think we kind of want to turn our brains off sometimes and just sit back and enjoy something. Yeah.
Absolutely. Especially right now, more than any time in the world, I think, really, with what's going over in Ukraine and all. Yeah. Inflation.
So let me ask you also, do you think it's possible to intentionally make a bad film that will be appreciated the way that like Troll 2 was? Or do you think trying to make a bad film brings too much self-awareness and it prevents it from getting
absolutely good question. And so, a lot of people say, well, if they compare, and some of the listeners that do follow y'all or love horror, maybe they have or have not seen so bad it's good movies as like The Room, which has gotten a lot of attention. Yeah. But so has Troll 2 in a lot of ways as well. But for the most part, I would say Troll 2 is just innocent. They weren't trying to make it bad. If you listen to Claudia and Rosella's, really, her intention was just to make a horror film about vegetarians who, plant-eating vegetarians that turn into monsters. And so, which is a bizarre story all in itself. But The Room is more cynical. It seems like maybe Tommy Wiseau was trying to make it so bad it's film. Maybe he was or wasn't. I don't know. I've talked to Greg about it, and and it might be the same for Rosella, especially their lines that, because we had asked Claudio, "Did you want us to say it this way? Are you sure?" And they said, "Yeah, say it that way. That way, yes, that's American way." So, we had a good time with it all. Now we look back on it and we all adore it just as much as anybody, really. I would say, truly. Yeah. Every one of the cast members. Yeah. It did, Yeah.
Now, were you a horror fan before working on this film?
Somewhat, and again, in Best Worst Movie, I went to one of those cons and I was like, I just don't know whether I dig this or not. I couldn't get past, where people were going with it's what's their pastime? Don't they have anything more to do than just walk around in bloody costumes? But that being said, it's fun. Now I look at it even lighter now than when we made the documentary. You know, it's just hey, it's fun. It's all about getting your family out and having fun. And I think that, you know, that's why Halloween's so adored these days. You know, people love Halloween. They just want to, you know, they want to add some, you know, spice in their life, you know.
Yeah.
Especially now that, you know, masks come off, go back on, come off, go back on. You know, we're ready to wear some crazy masks rather than medical masks.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Now, this film is packed with great quotes that I find myself saying at times. Your main one definitely stands out. Can you say it for the listeners?
I always said this is famous, and you have to watch the movie. Now that I say it, you wonder, why is he saying this? You can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it. Those were the famous words from Troll 2. That, and then Arnold, who says, "Oh my God." Yep. You know, those are probably the two most famous lines of that. You know, there are a lot of great moments in Troll 2. That's for sure. You know,
definitely.
It delivers. That's what the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater said. You know, they just go, you know, it simply delivers, and it does. It's true.
Yeah. So, you know, when I watched the documentary, it really showed how different you are in real life than you are of the character you play. So, like, you kind of always have like a scowl on your face.
Yeah, I'm
like,
kind of mad.
Yeah, and you're always like kind of like on the border of like disciplining your son and stuff like that. Was that? I mean, I'm assuming that wasn't intentional. But did it feel important for you to show like your fans that you're not that guy in the film?
Well, when you watch other films, you kind of see a different side. I mean, I loved playing the character. Well, actually, I'm there. Once again, I'm really serious in Texas Cotton, which you can watch on Prime, and you can see that, of course. And I played the lead, and that again was kind of a serious role, you know. But then Tyler Russell, who I think is brilliant, he's up and coming. Tyler wrote a script for me for Cyst, and so I played this crazy dermatologist that's trying to prove that his laser machine back in the 1960s worked. And of course, we brought Darren Ewing in to play my trusty assistant, and then also we brought in Greg Sestero. Of course, again, I keep mentioning his name, but brought Greg in, and so it's just a lot of fun playing that character because I get to laugh, and I'm a crazy. I'm kind of between Jim Carrey, Jack Nicholson, Gene Wilder, and you know, those three characters, I would say, and Young Frankenstein, The Shining, and The Mask. You know, I'm kind of one of all those three characters, and so I kind of went crazy, and I go crazy in the film, which is really fun.
Yeah,
I had a blast with that for sure.
So you've been practicing as a dentist in your day job. Are you still doing that?
Yeah. I'm 67, and I'll probably still keep going. I'm I've got two girls out on the West Coast in Portland and San Diego, and so I have plenty of time to practice. I enjoy it. It's fun. It's tough. You know, physically it's a little tougher at my age now. So,
and it sounds like you've done
going.
And it sounds like you've done some amazing work. I know in the documentary, one of the first things we kind of learn about you is just, you know, you did some pro bono work for children and took on some really tough, you know, projects in that, you know, in that realm. So that's pretty cool.
God, well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I've got, you know, I've been practicing now, 43 years. Let's say I was 26 when I finished dental school, and gosh, 41 years I've been practicing dentistry. So yeah, it's a long time to do a profession. But that being said, you know, here I am telling you about movies that I've been in, right? You know, so I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, people just say what I've done is set an example of people not having to just be soaked up in one role. And so I was very fortunate in the fact that I was in this crazy, wild movie that, you know, has led me to get invitations to be in cameos or in full features to act, you know, of which, you know, I could say, I hope to do all right. I've not really had any I've had a little formal training of that with acting, but not. I haven't done, my paid my dues of what my fellow actors have, who are just amazing, amazing actors. I've got to work with Lou Temple, who has been in a couple hundred films, and I've been also in a film with Gene Jones, who I really enjoyed that. So that working with Gene, oh my gosh, what a true thespian. He is amazing. I don't know if y'all know who Gene is, but he was the guy that was in one of the most famous scenes ever, the coin toss scene in No Country for Old Men.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah, Gene played the drugstore owner, and so Gene's in Texas Cotton with me, and also Cyst. And oh my gosh, I can only say he's great. And of course, Lou's in Walking Dead. You might know he played Axel in Walking Dead. The first 2 or 3 seasons he was with them, and then his character was killed, died out or whatever. And so then I've also worked with Judd. Judd is a very close friend as well, and Judd is on SEAL team, and he's done a lot of character acting. And then of course Jason Douglas I've gotten to work with as well. And Jason's he's the voice of every game you play. He's
That's awesome.
Got an incredible voiceover, but done a lot of work as well in some big features. And then Tiffany Shepis is this beautiful scream queen, and so she's amazing. She's just super wonderful to work with. Yeah.
I love that what you said about just kind of showing people that you can play more than one role in real life too. So I think that's really profound. And
yeah, I think that's true for all of us, really.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think you're a living example of that with, your dentistry career, and now you're acting. And I was curious, it looked like from 2007 on, you've kind of had steady either cameos or roles. Was that all because of Troll 2?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would have to say, everything leads back to it. I know it is a wow, isn't it? So, hey, it was kind of a gift from the universe that it happened. And so why not? And I don't turn down things too often when people ask me if I want to do something, but I mean, I would love to do more, but, a lot of them are so low budget. Hey, well, will you do it? And, then they ask me to kind of fly in and do that. I don't know about that, but, but that being said, it's all said good that I would love to do it for the rest of my life, really. I mean, it's, I'm walking up a hill. If it's just I'm lucky to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And so
now would you be open to making another Troll film if you ever had the opportunity to do it? Yeah.
Well, we've always, Michael and I have for years we worked with Claudia and Marcella, and we just couldn't make it happen for the most part because of the language barrier. And we tried, with translators. I think, and Rosella has actually written or, tried to write, a Troll 2 Part 2 or whatever, And she's got some great ideas, and she's written treatment that I've read, and and that was probably, 10 years ago, and she's probably going to do it again. If, it's all about funding and, finding. I've always been surprised, to be honest with you, why somebody hasn't jumped the gun and thinking, oh my God, this is a gold mine, because, why not repeat it? So what's true is it would be wonderful if we could bring a lot of the cast members back, of which Darren and I were Cyst together. But Michael, myself, Darren, Jason Stedman, I could go on with the list. Deborah, the witch, her health has not been very good, so she would have a struggle. But and I don't know if we could get Margot, again, we interviewed, So, but that being said, you could bring in new people and have some of us come back as ghosts or something, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Grandpa Seth all over again.
Yeah, he's passed away. Well, no, he hasn't. He actually called me. He's in Seattle.
Oh yeah.
And actually, he was 56 when he made Troll 2. So listen, if you think about it, add 56 and 33 years now. So he's 80. He's 87. He's getting close to 90. I know Don Packer, the drugstore owner, has passed away, but yeah. And then Chef Gene Freak, what a name, huh? He also passed away as well. So, yeah, but we do try to stay in touch. Connie Reed, REIT, who played my daughter, is she's just a sweetheart and lives in North Carolina, and I think she's a minimalist and she has a great, her YouTube site is if you look at Connie, CONNIE REIT, you can find some of Connie's great lifestyle living little video blogs, but they're on YouTube and they're great. Yeah. She's just as beautiful as she was in Troll 2, if not more. And her daughter is a ballerina in Austria, something. Okay. But, so they've lived all over the world and following their children. And so, yeah, what a joy to have known her and still try to stay in touch with her some. Nice. And and Jason's happily married and lives in Salt Lake, and then poor Deborah's had some health issue challenges, like I mentioned before. And Michael, who played my son, is in and for the listeners, they may not know all these people I'm mentioning, but these are characters from Troll 2, of course. And so Michael lives in Canada and Montreal, and is doing a lot of documentary work. Which he did one on killer bees recently that did really well, and it's on Discovery Plus. So Michael's still in the film business.
That's awesome. That
sweet girls.
Yeah, brought you guys together, and you guys still stay in touch. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really great. Yeah, thank you for saying that. Just to the cast, it'd be like trying to bring back the Sound of Music cast, right? Yeah, of which that's kind of funny. I mentioned that one of my closest friends' sister was the third youngest in the real Sound of Music. They have reunions, so I indirectly hear about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, well, gosh, yes, it's such a pleasure to talk to y'all tonight.
Yeah, George, thank you so much for making this time with us, man. We really appreciate it, and it's awesome to hear somebody who has embraced and also thrived from a movie that obviously you when it first came out, or when you first saw it, you definitely probably didn't foresee this future, right?
I did, but didn't. I had no idea this was going to actually happen to me or anything. It's kind of like, whoa, I can't even believe this is real sometimes. But I mean, I've gotten past all that. Standing in line, people standing in lines for your autograph. Because it's kind of interesting. The first or second question you ask is, how does it feel to do that? Well, what's true is you walk off the street and you go into a theater that shows Troll 2 and everybody adores you. Walk back on the street and nobody knows who you are. So it's pretty surreal.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
George, so I know Texas Cotton, we already mentioned, is streaming on Amazon Prime. I believe Tubi as well. I could be wrong about that. Cyst, where can people find Cyst?
Well, it's not out yet. It hasn't come out in the United States yet. So we're hoping that it'll come out, that Cyst will come out at the end of this year, maybe Halloween. It's already out in Germany and Austria and Switzerland, I think. In Europe, it is.
Mm.
Because Eva, who played the lead in it, Eva has been the context to get things rolling over there in Europe.
Okay.
Eva Haber, who is just a real terrific actress. You can Google her name and see all what she was in. She's pretty well known over there in Germany. Eva, Haberman or Hab. I'm not sure how you spell Eva's name exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent.
So.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
George, thanks again for joining us, and for
Absolutely.
all the listeners. If you haven't seen Troll 2, you're completely missing out. But you also need to check out the documentary Best Worst Film Ever, because it is super enlightening and gives you a totally great view of George. So I hope that everybody checks that out as well.
Both are streaming on Tubi, so check it out.
Yes.
Yeah, do please. It's fun to watch, and it's an adorable documentary. It really is. It's so well done. Michael Stevenson did a lot of that work, so he and I did together. But Michael edited, and we actually had Troll 2 fans be the cinematographers of it. So that was cool.
That's cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so watch it.
Yes, everybody watch it, and definitely
watch Texas Cotton. You can get a real feel of that. People that I did. That's where I really would say it portrayed more my acting abilities. Sure. And then Cyst, I go crazy wild.
All right. Well, thank you again.
Thanks, George.
Oh yeah, you guys. Thank you so much, and I appreciate the invite.
No problem.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right.
Have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.